Hi, Timothy Unkert here, and welcome to my tutorial on uh, the new WordPress for teachers. All right, as part of this series, I'm going to look at some basic stuff like today's video, posting in Gutenberg, and work up to some very advanced stuff, including JavaScript and your own PHP code in a WordPress um, in a WordPress environment. And then from there, I will continue the series with HTML, CSS templates, coding by yourself for educators. But right now, I'm focusing on just WordPress as a starting point for educators who want to have a class website. So in this video, I'm assuming you know how to do a few things. One, that you've gotten WordPress installed, and I'm talking about WordPress.org on uh, your own um, hosting environment through probably through a shared host like HostGator or GoDaddy or Bluehost or one of the many hosting companies that you can do this with, and that you've installed it and you start to set it up and you want to do a post, but you're not quite sure about all the features that you can do within a post. Now, this will cover some of the basic ones. It's not going to cover everything, but it's going to help you to get a really professional looking post up uh, so you can start blogging about your course topics. So I'm at this website that I run with my class. It's called mathforeverybody.com. And I'm going to go through about posting about a topic. And in this topic, I'm going to be talking about something I'm teaching next week, which is experimental probability. So there's a couple ways I can do it. When I'm logged in, if I'm viewing the website from the front, I'll get this admin dash bar across the top. Okay, I could just click plus new and go to post. Okay, the other thing is I can go to my dashboard. So I'm going to do that now and click on posts and add new. Either way, this is probably the quickest option. So let me do that. Okay, so now I'm brought right to creating a post. And this is it happens to be very straightforward. There are some intricacies with Gutenberg that are a little difficult. So for people who are new to it, I'm going to run through this and show you how to do it. So first thing, I'm going to add a title. All right. So this title will be Algebra 2, Experimental Probability, and we'll call it GBT style. Okay. Now I'm going to hit the enter button. And what that does is it brings me down here, and in Gutenberg it just defaults to a paragraph. So I'm going to pause the video right now while I write a little bit about my topic. Okay, so I've typed a paragraph to start us off with, and in that paragraph I say, in this opening week of academics, we begin our Algebra 2 course by exploring probability. I then define probability. Probability is the extent to which an event is likely to occur, measured by the ratio of the favorable cases to the whole number of cases possible. So since I've given a definition, I want to emphasize the word probability. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to highlight it. And then I can go up here and I can either bold or italicize it. I really want to emphasize this, so I'm going to do both. Another thing I could do, if I wanted to bold and italicize, I don't necessarily have to come up here. So let me undo it. And then I'm going to hit Control or Command B, that will bold it, and then Control or Command I, which will italicize it. All right, so those are a couple different ways I can do that. And then I'm going to hit the Enter button here. That's going to bring me to another paragraph, and I'm going to say, let's explore the following cases. Okay, I'm going to hit Enter again, and this defaults me to a paragraph again, but I don't want a paragraph, so I'm going to hover over here where it says Add Block. I'm going to hit on this, and I can go and I can click on List. You'll also see it gives me the option over here to add a list. Either one will do the same, so I'm going to click one of those, and I'm going to now have two cases of probability. I will pause the video, write those two cases, and get right back. Okay, so I've added two cases. My first case is, what is the probability you'll roll a 2 when rolling a 6-sided die once? And the next case is, your favorite movie theater sold 600 tickets last week. 250 of those 600 tickets were for Mission Impossible Fallout. What is the probability the next ticket sold is for Mission Impossible Fallout? And since this is a title of a movie, I might highlight this and then italicize it. I'll do the same down here. And, if some of my students haven't heard of this movie, what I can do is highlight it again. And if I click this, I can add a link. So I'm going to pause the video and find a link to IMDb for Mission Impossible Fallout. So hold on one sec. Okay, so I found that link, and I'm going to add a link here. So I'm going to add a link and paste it in by hitting Control V. I'm going to hit this arrow to apply the link. Okay, I'm going to scroll up a little bit here so you can see it. And then I want students to know what this movie is, but if they click on the link, I want them to stay on my website. So I'm going to open the link in a new tab by doing that. Okay, so now if my students haven't heard of this movie, they can go to the link and see what the movie is about. Okay. All right. So, and the other thing I want to do is I think I'm going to put this as case 1 and case 2. Okay, and to emphasize these a little bit, I'm going to highlight and bold it by hitting Control B. I also want to underline it, and I'm going to hit Control U to do that. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Okay? I'm going to go down to here and hit Enter. And it wants me to add another list item. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to hit Enter again, and it breaks me out of that list format. Okay, this here will default to a paragraph. I, however, do not want a paragraph. I want a heading, so I'm going to add a block here, and I'm going to highlight heading, and I'm going to say case. Oops, move my cursor over here. Hold on one sec. Do that again. Okay, I'm going to say case 1, rolling a 6-sided die. Okay, I'm going to hit Enter again, and it will default me back to a paragraph. But I don't necessarily want a paragraph in this case. Okay, I want a picture of a die so students know what I'm talking about. So one of my favorite websites, and I'll type it here, it's pexels.com. And I'm not going to keep that text, obviously. You can do pexels.com, pixabay.com, or unslash.com for professional looking photos that are free for any use. And I'm going to go to pexels.com to get a picture of a die. So I'm going to pause for a minute and do that. Okay, so I've gotten that picture. Now I want to upload it. So I'm going to click on the plus, add block. I'm going to click on an image here. I'm going to add an image. It's going to give me the opportunity to upload an image from my computer. And I've got that image right here. So I'm going to click on that and click open. Okay, and as you can see, it's uploaded the photo. And I'll say in the caption, I can put a caption, a picture of a 6-sided die. Okay. All right, I'm going to click down there, and that's going to give me another paragraph. So now I'm going to write a little paragraph about finding the probability of rolling a 2 with one roll of a 6-sided die. So I'm going to pause the video right now and write a little post about that, okay? Okay, welcome back. I've written some a little bit of probability, or a little bit about the probability of rolling a 2 from one roll of a 6-sided die. So here are my paragraphs. To find the probability of rolling a 2 on one roll of a of a six-sided die, we first must look at the quote good outcomes. We'll call that G. In this case, you have one side that has a 2, so you have one good outcome. And next, we must figure out the number of total outcomes, and I'll call that T. Space there. Since there are 6 sides to a die, there are 6 total outcomes. The probability of rolling a 2 from a 6-sided die on one roll is the number of good outcomes divided by the number of total outcomes, or 1 divided by 6. This can be represented as the fraction. Now notice here I haven't put in the fraction, because if I write a fraction 1/6 like that, it doesn't look that good. So I'm going to make this look a little bit better. And this is where you can enter some HTML if you know how to do it. Okay, I'm going to click over here to more options, and I'm going to click edit as HTML, and I'm going to use the superscript tag for top part of the fraction, the numerator, and the subscript tag for the bottom part of the fraction, the denominator. Okay, then I can type or, and then I'll go back to visual because it's easier to type most of the stuff visually. So, and look at how that fraction comes out, that 1/6. It looks like a good fraction. Or it can be represented as a decimal, which is 0.16, and that's repeating, if I've done that correctly in my head. Okay, so I'm going to hit the period here, and now this is a little bit more advanced, so if you don't want to do this, that's okay. But I'm going to edit as HTML again, and I'm going to put a span in here, and span style is going to equal overline. Okay, and then I'm going to close out the span tag. And that will show that it's repeating. Okay, and now let's go back here, and nothing's going to show up. I'm going to save the draft though by clicking Save Draft here, and then Preview, and we'll see. It's going to generate a preview for me, so let's scroll down. And nothing shows up there either. So the reason why is I haven't defined this in, well, actually there's a couple of reasons. One, I think it's just wiped that out. So yeah, so it wiped out the style. So I have to save it first. Span style equals overline. I'm going to save the draft and leave it as HTML. Okay, now I'll preview it. Okay, let's see if it comes out now. No, it's still not working. All right, so one thing I had to check, customize, and this is a little bit advanced, so you don't have to do this. Click additional. Okay, so I do have the CSS there. So, okay, we're running into a snafu, and that's what happens sometimes when you're writing post. Let's see. Let's click Edit Post. Let's see what we did wrong. So click Edit as HTML. Has the style, span style, as overline. Well, for whatever reason, that's not quite working. Let's try publishing it and see. Okay, let's view the post. No, it's not coming out. So I'll have to check into that, why that is not working. Okay, and I just took a look, and it's not style, sorry. I want class. My bad. All right, so I'm going to update this. Okay, so let's view the post now. Okay, so now you can see that it's 0.16 repeating. Okay, so want to type in style unless my style is text decoration overline. That's a little bit more advanced. You don't need to do this to do a post for your class, but this is how it's going to look when I do my post so far. Now looking at this, I'm seeing that this picture is not centered. Let me go back and edit that because I don't really like that much. Okay, so come back here, I'm going to click on this, okay, and I hover up here and I'm going to hit that. And now I'm going to update. Okay, now if I view the post, it's still not lining up. So there are some issues with Gutenberg that are still being worked out, but this should center, and it's not quite doing that. I may play around with editing that image later with some CSS code, but for right now, I'll leave it as is, aligned a little bit off, okay? Let's keep going back to editing this post. Okay, we're down here. All right, so that was our case one. Now, again, we want a heading. And it normally selects the heading 2 tag, but maybe I want to select a heading 3 instead. Maybe I want a little bit smaller font, but still a heading. I'm going to say case 2. And then we'll call this probability of a movie ticket sold. All right, I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so now I want to go to Pexels and find, or Pixabay or Unsplash, and find another photo I can use. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I've done that, and I'm going to add my picture. I'm going to click on image, and I'll upload it from my desktop, and I have a picture of some popcorn. So there we go. Click on the center thing here. So when they update Gutenberg, that it does center itself. That's a little issue I've noticed with the Gutenberg editor. It's not a huge thing. And overall, I think this editor is kind of great for people who are just wanting to put a post easy. All right, so I'll put as a caption, going to the movies. Now, keep in mind, you don't actually have to put a caption in here as well. I'm just doing it for fun. So now I'm going to pause the video, type a few paragraphs, okay, and then go from there. Okay, so I typed some more paragraphs. So I said, to determine the probability of your favorite movie theater selling a Mission Impossible Fallout ticket, I want to highlight, again, Mission Impossible Fallout, and I'm going to hit Control-I to italicize it. We must first look at the total, quote, good outcomes. In this case, the movie theater had previously sold 250 tickets to Mission Impossible Fallout. So again, I want to italicize this, highlight, hit Control-I. That's 250, quote, good outcomes. And we're using this G. And maybe I want to bold that because that was in my title. Remember GBT? After that, we look at the total number of outcomes. I should put total number of outcomes. So far, 600 tickets were sold, so there were a total of 600 outcomes. T, let's bold that. Okay, put a little emphasis on it. The probability of the next ticket sold will be Mission Impossible Fallout. We're going to highlight that. Is the number of, quote, good outcomes divided by the number of total outcomes. In this case, 250 divided by 600, which simplifies to 5 over 12, or 4.16 repeating. So again, to fix this up, let's go into our HTML. Edit as HTML. So I'm going to use my superstring tags and substring tags. You have to open and close the tag to have my fractions. Okay, do that over here as well. And then we want to do a span here. So span class, not style, span class is overline. Okay, and then we'll close out the span. And that's because I have already defined some extra CSS. So that's an advanced option. We'll talk about that later, using CSS and your custom CSS in WordPress to get the site to really look like you want it to look like. Okay. WordPress looks great normally, but it's tough to customize, and we'll start to go into customizing it and that so you can meet your own needs. Okay, so I've done that. I'm going to update it. And let's view it and see what it looks like. Okay, so let's scroll down. All right. So I've got my fraction here. I've got that here. And then I've got my repeating 6 here. Okay, and you notice Mission Impossible Fallout is italicized. We've got nice bold here and here. We've got our little caption there. Our picture is not aligning to the center, even though I clicked it on the Gutenberg editor. So that may be something I have to play with, but that's a little bit, it's not a big deal for a post. Okay, so, and I may just make the picture size bigger so it spans up the entire, fills up the entire block for this particular theme. Okay, so looking at that, we're looking good. And if we go up to the title again, sorry for moving up and down, you notice I have G, B, and T. Now we haven't done anything with B, so I probably should go back to this post and do some stuff with the number of bad outcomes. Okay, so, all right, so I get here, and I've gone through both cases, and maybe I want a heading here, and I want a heading, and the last one I used was a H3. H4 is kind of small. I want a larger emphasis heading here. I'm going to say, what about B? All right, and then I'm going to type a little bit of something, and I'll pause the video while I do that. Okay, so I've written a little bit more. So I said so far in this article we've covered G and T. Now we want to bold these, okay? So what I'm going to do is highlight and Control B, and then highlight, Control B again, or I could do just B up here. But not B. We want to highlight this one. So let's go up here and just click on that and bold it. So what gives? B, you might have guessed, stands for the number of bad outcomes. Maybe I'll italicize that just to emphasize it. We'd use this if we were looking at the number of times something doesn't happen. For instance, probability you don't roll a 2 on a 6-sided die, or the probability the next ticket sold isn't to Mission Impossible Fallout. So let's italicize that movie again. Okay. All right. Oops. Go to the end here, hit enter again to get out of the list. Okay, and let's say we want a heading. So we'll call this heading, and we're going to do an H4 heading this time. We're going to say, if you see on the right here, we could all go all the way down to H6, which is kind of small. But we're going to say case 3, the probability you don't roll a 2 with one roll of a 6-sided die. Okay. And I'm going with the rule, if it's 4 letters or longer, you capitalize the heading. Okay, so anyways, so I'll type a little bit about that, and I'll type another one about case 4, and then we'll talk about closing your article and finishing it up. Okay, so I've paused for a minute, and I've gotten down here. This is just basically case 3. Hold on one sec. I'll just pause this again. Okay, so I've gotten here, and let's say I start to type case 4, the probability of the next ticket being sold not being to Mission Impossible Fallout. Okay, so now this is written as a paragraph, but I'm like, hey, I don't want it as a paragraph. So I'm just going to go up here, and I'm going to change the block type. and I'm going to go to heading. Okay, so now I want that as a heading, and I'm going to keep that as the second type of heading. So now I hit enter again, and I can continue to type. But let's check how this is looking. So I'm going to update, and I'm going to view the post. I scroll down. See, my overline is working well um, when it's shown, but if I look here, case 3, I don't like that heading. This was the fourth type of heading, and it's not that good. I want to fix that. That doesn't really break it up that well. Okay, so what I can do is I can go back to editing the post, and I can scroll down to where this heading is, right here. Click on this. And I'll go over here. Now look, I can easily change it. And I could change it to a first type of heading if I wanted. That's a little big, so I'm going to do the second one. All right, now I'm going to hit update. Let me view my post again and see what I have. So if I view the post again, I can see that the case 3 shows up very nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to pause the video again. I'm going to type a little bit more about case 4, and then we'll talk about closing out that article and how you put a copyright tag on and create a shared block. Okay, so I've typed some more, and what I want to do is I want to uh, claim that this is my article, and I want to put a copyright on the bottom. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to type copyright 2018. Okay, and I want to include the copyright symbol. So I'm going to click edit as HTML, and I'm going to write the copy symbol, the HTML code, which is this. Okay, and then I'll convert back to visual 2018, and I'll put Timothy Unkert, my name. Okay, and maybe I don't want to type this for each one of my blogs. I want to have this just something I can use all the time. So I'm going to add this to reusable blocks, and I'm going to type this as the copyright block. Okay, and I'm going to click save. And that's now something that I can use in all of my posts. And I can modify it later too if I need to change the date or span the year. And okay, so now I'm going to look at my document. A few more things I'm going to look at before I publish this. Okay, so one, right now this is categorized as uncategorized. I want this as Algebra 2, and then I'm going to add a new category, and this is going to be probability. Okay, and my parent category is going to be Algebra 2. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter, and that's going to bring it up and give me the correct category. Now, I also may want to include some tags, and maybe I'll tag this with experimental probability. And I'll tag it with good outcomes. And I'm just writing this and clicking enter. So bad outcomes, I just click enter, and then total outcomes, enter. So I've tagged it. Maybe I want a featured image. Okay, this helps for SEO. So I'm going to set my featured image as one of these dies, and I'm going to write the alternate text as experimental probability. This will help with search engines to find this. Okay, and maybe I want to write a little excerpt about this. So I'm going to write the way to find experimental probabilities is as easy as finding the good food, good, bad, and total outcomes. Okay, something like that. Okay, I can also go down here and click on discussion. I could unclick allow comments or pingbacks and trackbacks. I don't really care much about that right now. I'm going to unclick uncategorize because I have categorized it. Okay, post format standard, everything's standard, that's fine. This block here, I don't want this because this is just on the end. I'm going to remove the block. So that's my last block. And now I can look at my Yoast SEO. I'll talk about these in a future post. So this tells me about my readability. This tells me about focus keyword. So if I were to enter in a focus keyword, I could determine the SEO for it. Maybe I would type in experimental probability. Okay. And it tells me I need to make these improvements. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to finish this video. I'm going to update it, and that's going to be my updated post. Okay, and then I can view the post. See that it looks okay. See it. Notice it pulls my featured image on top. And then I go into my examples, and I have my conclusion and the copyright there. And it's as simple as that to create a WordPress post for your class. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for visiting, and stay tuned for further videos on the new WordPress for educators. Thanks. Have a good day.